Long before the nation of Poland existed, the lands of Central Europe were covered with dense forests, rivers, and scattered tribal settlements. Various Slavic tribes lived across the region, farming the land, hunting wild animals, and building wooden villages beside rivers like the Vistula and Oder. These tribes had no united kingdom. Instead, they were divided into clans ruled by local chiefs. Life was harsh, and survival depended on strength, alliances, and the changing seasons. Among these tribes, one group slowly became more powerful than the others. They were known as the Polani, meaning people of the fields. From their territory around present-day Greater Poland, they began conquering neighboring tribes. Their leaders built fortified settlements called grads, surrounded by wooden walls and earthworks. These strongholds protected people from raids and helped control trade routes. In the 10th century, a ruler named Mieszko I emerged as the most powerful leader of the Polani. He is remembered as the founder of the Polish state. Mieszko was a skilled warrior and diplomat who understood that survival in Europe required more than military strength. Powerful Christian kingdoms surrounded his lands, especially the expanding Holy Roman Empire to the west. Pagan tribes were often attacked under the excuse of spreading Christianity. Mieszko realized that if Poland remained pagan, it might become a target for conquest. In the year 966, Mieszko made one of the most important decisions in Polish history. He accepted Christianity through baptism, likely influenced by his marriage to the Czech princess Dobrowa. This event, known as the Baptism of Poland, symbolized the birth of the Polish nation. Christianity connected Poland to the political and cultural world of Christian Europe. Churches and monasteries began appearing across the land. Priests introduced Latin writing, and Polish rulers gained greater legitimacy among European monarchs. Mieszko expanded his territory through wars and alliances, laying the foundations of a strong state. By the time of his death in 992, Poland had become one of the major powers of Central Europe. His son, Boleslaw I the Brave, continued this mission with even greater ambition. Boleslaw was a fearless ruler who dreamed of creating a great kingdom. He strengthened the army, expanded borders, and supported the Christian church. During his reign, Poland gained increasing influence across Europe. One important moment came in the year 1000 when Holy Roman Emperor Otto III visited Poland during the Congress of Gniezno. The emperor treated Boleslaw as an equal and recognized the growing importance of Poland. Boleslaw's greatest achievement came in 1025 when he became the first crowned king of Poland. The coronation transformed Poland from a duchy into a recognized kingdom. Yet this glory did not last long. After Boleslaw's death, internal conflicts weakened the kingdom. Rival nobles fought for power, invasion struck the land, and Poland fragmented into smaller regions ruled by competing princes. For nearly 2 centuries, Poland remained divided. Regional rulers competed against each other while neighboring powers grew stronger. Mongol invasions in the 13th century brought destruction and terror. Entire towns were burned and thousands were killed. However, despite these disasters, Poland slowly rebuilt itself. During this fragmented era, many German settlers moved eastward into Polish lands. New towns were founded, trade expanded, and European culture spread. Cities such as Krakow and Wrocław became centers of commerce and learning. Castles, churches, and marketplaces transformed the landscape. Eventually, the need for unity became impossible to ignore. In the early 14th century, the Ladislaw I Lokitek succeeded in reuniting much of the country. His coronation in 1320 symbolized the rebirth of the Polish kingdom. His son, Casimir III the Great, became one of the greatest rulers in Polish history. Casimir strengthened laws, built castles, expanded cities, and founded Poland's first university in Krakow in 1364. Under his rule, Poland became wealthier, safer, and more organized. People later said of him, "He found Poland made of wood and left it made of stone." But Casimir had no son to inherit the throne. After his death in 1370, the Piast dynasty ended. Soon, a new political union would change the future of Poland forever and create one of the largest states in Europe. That union would come through an alliance with neighboring Lithuania, a partnership born from war, politics, and survival. After the death of Casimir III the Great, the Kingdom of Poland entered a new era of uncertainty. Without a direct heir, the Polish throne passed through dynastic alliances and foreign rulers. Yet from this instability emerged one of the most powerful unions in European history. To the northeast lay the vast Grand Duchy of Lithuania, the last major pagan state in Europe. Lithuania controlled enormous territories, stretching deep into modern Belarus and Ukraine. However, it faced constant threats from the powerful Teutonic Knights, a German military order claiming to spread Christianity through conquest. In 1385, a historic agreement known as the Union of Kreuo changed Eastern Europe forever. The Lithuanian Grand Duke Jogaila agreed to marry the young Polish Queen Jadwiga, convert to Christianity, and become King of Poland. After his baptism, Jogaila became the Ladislaw II Jagiello. This alliance united Poland and Lithuania under one ruler. The union created a massive political and military force. Together, Poland and Lithuania were strong enough to challenge the Teutonic Knights. The greatest confrontation came in 1410 at the Battle of Grunwald, one of the largest battles of medieval Europe. The armies of Poland and Lithuania marched against the Teutonic Order in a brutal clash that would become legendary in Polish history. Thousands of knights, cavalry, and soldiers fought under burning summer skies. By the end of the battle, Teutonic Knights were crushed. Their power never fully recovered, while Poland-Lithuania emerged as a dominant force in Europe. Over the next century, the Jagiellonian dynasty expanded its influence across Central Europe. Polish kings ruled lands stretching from the Baltic Sea toward the Black Sea. Trade flourished, agriculture expanded, and cities grew richer. Krakow became one of Europe's cultural centers. The 15th and 16th centuries are often called Poland's Golden Age. Universities attracted scholars from across Europe. Renaissance ideas spread into Polish cities, and artists, architects, and writers transformed the kingdom. The nobility, known as the Szlachta, gained extraordinary political power. Unlike many European kingdoms ruled by absolute monarchs, Poland developed a unique political system based on noble freedoms. In 1569, the Union of Lublin formally created the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, one of the largest and most populated states in Europe. The Commonwealth was unusual for its time. It was not ruled entirely by kings. Instead, powerful nobles elected the monarch and controlled parliament, called the Sejm. This system gave great liberty to the nobility, but it also weakened central authority. Over time, wealthy nobles became more powerful than the kings themselves. Still, during its early years, the Commonwealth remained prosperous and influential. Religious tolerance became another remarkable feature of the state. While much of Europe was torn apart by religious wars between Catholics and Protestants, Poland-Lithuania became known for relative tolerance. Catholics, Orthodox Christians, Protestants, and Jews often lived side by side. Many Jewish communities fleeing persecution elsewhere found refuge in Polish lands. One of the most famous kings of this era was Sigismund II Augustus, who helped strengthen the Commonwealth. Later rulers continued to expand influence, but danger slowly gathered around the kingdom. To the north, Sweden grew ambitious. To the east, Russia expanded steadily. To the south, the Ottoman Empire threatened Europe. The Commonwealth found itself surrounded by rising powers. In the 17th century, disaster struck repeatedly. Wars devastated the land. One of the worst periods became known as the Deluge, when Swedish armies invaded Poland in the 1650s. Cities were burned, villages destroyed, and countless people killed. The economy collapsed, and cultural treasures were stolen. Although the Commonwealth survived, it never fully recovered. Political paralysis grew worse because of a system called the Liberum Veto, which allowed any noble in parliament to block laws and decisions. Foreign powers exploited this weakness by bribing nobles and interfering in Polish politics. Meanwhile, neighboring empires strengthened themselves with centralized governments and modern armies. Poland-Lithuania remained divided internally while its enemies prepared for expansion. Despite decline, moments of heroism still appeared. In 1683, Polish King John III Sobieski led forces that helped save Vienna from Ottoman conquest. His victory made him famous across Europe, but military glory could not solve the Commonwealth's deeper political problems. By the 18th century, Poland-Lithuania was no longer a great power. Corruption, weak leadership, and foreign interference pushed the once mighty state toward catastrophe. Powerful neighbors watched carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to divide the weakened Commonwealth among themselves. That moment was approaching rapidly, and it would nearly erase Poland from the map of Europe for more than a century. By the 18th century, the once powerful Poland had become dangerously weak. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth still covered enormous territory, but internally it was collapsing. Powerful nobles fought among themselves, kings lacked authority, and foreign empires constantly interfered in Polish politics. Surrounding powers saw opportunity in Poland's weakness. To the east stood the expanding Russian Empire under Catherine the Great. To the west, Prussia was becoming a disciplined military power. To the south, the Habsburg rulers of Austria also desired Polish territory. Instead of allowing Poland to recover, these empires decided to divide it among themselves. In 1772 came the first partition of Poland. Russian, Prussian, and Austrian troops entered Polish lands and seized large regions without major resistance. The Commonwealth lost millions of people and vast territories. Shock spread across the nation. Many Polish patriots realized that without major reforms, Poland would disappear entirely. A group of reformers attempted to save the country by strengthening the government and modernizing the state. Their greatest achievement came in 1791 with the Constitution of May 3rd, one of the first modern constitutions in the world. The Constitution aimed to reduce noble corruption, strengthen royal authority, and protect the nation from foreign control. For many Poles, it represented hope for national survival, but neighboring empires saw these reforms as dangerous. They feared a stronger Poland might threaten their influence. Russia invaded once again, supported by Polish nobles who opposed reform. In 1793 came the second partition, stripping Poland of even more land. Patriots refused to surrender without a fight. In 1794, Tadeusz Kosciuszko led a national uprising against Russia and Prussia. Kosciuszko, a military hero who had previously fought in the American Revolutionary War, inspired thousands to rise for independence. At first, the rebellion achieved victories. Peasants and citizens joined the struggle, hoping to defend their homeland. But the partitioning powers were too strong. Russian armies crushed the uprising after brutal battles. Kosciuszko himself was wounded and captured. In 1795 came the final disaster, the third partition of Poland. Russia, Prussia, and Austria erased Poland completely from the map of Europe. For the next 123 years, Poland no longer existed as an independent country. Yet even without a state, the Polish nation survived. Under foreign rule, Polish culture, language, and identity became acts of resistance. In Russian-controlled territories, authorities tried to destroy Polish nationalism through censorship and forced Russification. In Prussian lands, Germanization policies targeted Polish schools and traditions. Austrians ruled more softly in Galicia, but Poland remained divided and oppressed. Despite this, Polish patriotism grew stronger. Throughout the 19th century, uprisings repeatedly erupted against foreign rulers. In 1830, the November Uprising began against Russian domination. Young officers and revolutionaries in Warsaw launched a rebellion, hoping to restore independence. For a time, Polish forces resisted bravely, but Russia eventually crushed the revolt. Thousands of Polish patriots fled abroad afterward in what became known as the Great Emigration. Many intellectuals, artists, and political leaders settled in France and other European countries. Among them was the famous composer Frédéric Chopin, whose emotional music became deeply connected with the suffering and spirit of Poland. Another major rebellion erupted in 1863 during the January Uprising. Once again, Polish fighters challenged Russian rule through guerrilla warfare and underground resistance. Once again, they were defeated. Executions, imprisonments, and deportations followed. Thousands were sent to Siberia. Even so, the dream of independence never disappeared. During the Industrial Revolution, Polish cities slowly modernized. Factories appeared, Railways expanded, and new political movements emerged. Socialists, nationalists, conservatives, and reformers debated how Poland could one day return. At the same time, Europe itself was changing rapidly. Old empires faced growing tensions. Nationalism spread across the continent, and rival alliances prepared for war. When World War I erupted in 1914, the three powers that had partitioned Poland found themselves fighting against each other. Russia battled Germany and Austria-Hungary across Polish territories, turning the region into a bloody battlefield. For many Polish patriots, the war created a rare opportunity. One leader in particular, Józef Pilsudski, believed the collapse of the empires could restore Polish independence. He organized Polish military units and worked to prepare for the rebirth of the nation. As the war dragged on, millions died, empires weakened, and revolutions shook Europe. By 1918, the Russian Empire had collapsed, Germany was defeated, and Austria-Hungary was falling apart. After more than a century of disappearance, Poland was finally about to rise again. In November 1918, after 123 years of foreign rule, Poland returned to the map of Europe. The end of World War I destroyed the empires that had divided the country, allowing Poles to rebuild their nation once again. Crowds celebrated in Warsaw as Józef Pilsudski took control of the new republic. But independence brought enormous challenges. Poland's lands had been ruled separately for generations by Russia, Germany, and Austria. Railways, laws, economies, and cultures differed across the country. Borders were uncertain, and enemies surrounded the fragile new state. Almost immediately, Poland faced war. To the east, revolutionary Soviet Russia hoped to spread communism across Europe. In 1919, conflict erupted between Poland and Soviet forces. The war intensified as the Red Army advanced toward Warsaw in 1920. Many believed Poland would collapse. Instead, the Polish army achieved a shocking victory in what became known as the Miracle on the Vistula. Polish forces defeated the Soviets near Warsaw and pushed them back eastward. The victory preserved Poland's independence and stopped communist expansion into Europe at that time. During the 1920s and 1930s, Poland struggled to stabilize itself. Economic problems, political conflicts, and ethnic tensions created instability. In 1926, Pilsudski carried out a coup and established a more authoritarian government, arguing that strong leadership was necessary to protect the country. Meanwhile, dark forces were rising in Europe. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party came to power. In the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin ruled through fear and repression. Both dictators had ambitions involving Polish territory. On September 1st, 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland, beginning World War II. German forces attacked with terrifying speed using tanks, aircraft, and coordinated assaults known as blitzkrieg. Just over 2 weeks later, the Soviet Union invaded from the east under a secret agreement with Germany called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Poland was trapped between two powerful enemies. Despite brave resistance, the country was overwhelmed. The occupation that followed became one of the darkest chapters in human history. Nazi Germany treated Poland with extreme brutality. Millions of civilians were murdered. Polish intellectuals, priests, teachers, and leaders were targeted for execution. Entire villages were destroyed. Poland also became the center of the Holocaust. Nazi death camps such as Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor were built on occupied Polish soil. Millions of Jews from across Europe were systematically murdered there, alongside countless Polish victims and others persecuted by the Nazis. The Jewish community of Poland, once among the largest and most vibrant in the world, was devastated almost completely. Yet resistance never disappeared. The Polish underground state became one of the largest resistance movements in occupied Europe. Secret schools operated underground, newspapers were printed illegally, and fighters carried out sabotage against the occupiers. In 1944, the Warsaw Uprising erupted as resistance fighters attempted to liberate the capital before Soviet forces arrived. For 63 days, Polish fighters battled German troops street by street. But the uprising was crushed. Much of Warsaw was destroyed, and hundreds of thousands died. When the war ended in 1945, Poland was technically liberated from Nazi occupation, but true freedom did not return. Soviet influence dominated Eastern Europe, and Poland became a communist state under Moscow's control. The new communist government rebuilt destroyed cities and industries, but political repression remained severe. Opposition was silenced, censorship controlled media, and secret police monitored society. Still, many Poles resisted communist rule in different ways. One of the most important figures to inspire the nation was John Paul II, elected Pope in 1978. His visits to Poland inspired millions and strengthened national identity and resistance to communist control. In 1980, workers at the Gdansk shipyard launched massive strikes demanding political and economic reforms. Their leader, Lech Walesa, became the face of the Solidarity movement. Solidarity grew into the first independent labor union in the communist bloc. Millions joined the movement despite government repression. Martial law was imposed in 1981, and opposition leaders were arrested, but the movement survived underground. By the late 1980s, communist systems across Eastern Europe were collapsing. Economic crisis, public protests, and Soviet weakness forced negotiations between the government and opposition. In 1989, Poland held partially free elections, and Solidarity achieved a historic victory. Communist rule ended peacefully, making Poland one of the first Eastern European countries to break free from Soviet domination. The decades that followed transformed the country rapidly. Poland adopted democracy, built a market economy, and joined Western alliances including NATO in 1999 and the European Union in 2004. Modern Poland became one of Europe's fastest-growing economies. Cities were rebuilt, businesses expanded, and millions experienced new opportunities. Yet memories of war, occupation, resistance, and survival continue to shape Polish identity. From medieval kingdoms and golden ages to partitions, invasions, and rebirth, the history of Poland is a story of endurance against overwhelming odds, a nation erased from maps, yet never erased from the hearts of its people. Don't forget to like and subscribe for daily updates.